So welcome everyone, for those of you that are here live and for those of you that are going to be listening to us on a recording. We were just talking about how rough it's been for the last 29.5 days moon cycle. The super new moon really drove something deeply into all of us and said, come on now, start peeling your onion. So I was just saying that my onion, I did not realize how big my onion was because I've been peeling away at my life for so long and felt like I had to peel more. A lot of new discoveries, a lot of tough times. I'll tell you, I was not in good place this past couple of days, even last night. It was a rough night. Neither of us really slept that well, but I knew that I had to support my lymphatic system. So this morning I did a lot for my kidneys, and within about 2 hours, I could feel a lot of the drainage started to happen. And today's the new moon when we're doing this live call after the equinox. So I'm really welcoming this new moon energy, which is always very much like exhale to me. It still doesn't feel very grounding to me today. So I'm hoping I can take the next maybe a couple of more days to get grounded a little bit. So take next, I would say 2-3 days to pay attention to your exhales. This is a really good time to think about ways that you can release, because that's what the new moon energy is, so that you can slowly build up again towards the first quarter moon. That's when we're going to start our cleanse. And then we're going to go into the new moon to build up our own reserves as we begin to clear things out. And then we are going to head towards the new moon again, and we're going to end it on the new moon. So that's how we're going to be organizing this. So use this time as a preparatory week till we start next Thursday on March 30th. Yeah. So that's going to be the first quarter first quarter moon. And so you have about a week, a little bit longer, but to prepare yourself. And we're going to open up the Facebook group. I think we should be able to do that by this weekend, correct, Chris? That we will be reaching out to all of you that have signed up. And then I will start posting some things that you can do pre-cleanse and preparing your home, but yourself, maybe starting to incorporate some of the things that will make your cleanse a little bit smoother entry that way, instead of just wait till Thursday and then jump into it. I much rather do a little bit of a preparatory things. So I will be recommending some pre-cleanse recommendations for you. Okay. So with that, let's get started. So I will have to share the screen. Chris, you have anything else to add before we get started?
Only that just to remind anybody who wasn't here for part one, this is a two-part series that we're doing about the importance of supporting your hormone health. That was part one. That video is already up, so you can check that on our website. And then today it's going to be all about why doing this metabolic cleanse is such a vitally important thing to do. And so hopefully we're going to be able to answer that question by the time we get to the end of our short presentation here. We'll take some questions. So be checking for those. If we don't answer your question, we'll come back and leave some time at the end.
Okay. So Chris, you want to
take it away from the next slide.
All right.
So this one is, we'll just start here with a recap. This is something from the last session. So part one, where we were talking about hormones, there's a very close relationship here. One of the most important things that we have to understand is that we live in a world that is full of toxic exposures for us of all kinds. And so here on this slide, this is simply going over a small slice of that toxic pie and things that are around us all the time. We have all kinds of synthetic things being pumped out into the air and the water and the ground. So 2,300 new synthetic chemicals being created and released into the world every year, if not more than that. Going around clockwise again, 200 plus chemicals in the blood of infants, newborns at birth due to the exposure of their mothers. So they're born with those toxic chemicals in them. We're seeing that adults have 700 plus chemicals that are just accumulating through living, breathing, eating, drinking. And 80,000 different chemicals have been introduced into our environment since the end of World War II. A pretty astounding number, but we're adding to that number a lot every year. And then another big one is the amount of pesticides in this country, in the United States, that we're putting into the soil and our food and then into our bodies. So over 4 billion pounds per year are being transferred into the world and our bodies. So let's just take a look at the next slide, which is also a quick recap of the fact that these toxins interfere with our hormone signals, but they also interfere with the detox functions of our bodies. And so I just wanted to touch on these again, just to remember that toxicity comes in so many forms. And again, it can be chemical, it can be biological, physical, metabolic, it can even be psychological and emotional, because our bodies, like we talked about last time, don't distinguish between different kinds of stressors. So regardless of the source, if we're engaging in some kind of toxic environment or toxic exposure, it's going to have an impact on our detox systems, particularly our liver. And that's going to be where we're focusing mainly today. So what you want to think about is we live in a system where government agencies that regulate toxic exposures like the EPA and the FDA and the USDA in this country, they like to give us one-off numbers. Like, for example, this little tiny trace amount of mercury shouldn't be enough to cause any problems with your body. The problem is we have to add them all up, all of the different exposures that we are faced with from all those different sources I just touched on in the last slide. So you have to add together the potency of the toxin, so how strong it is, the duration of the exposure, how long it is, the amount that you're exposed to, if you have a genetic predisposition to being susceptible to those toxins, the overall surrounding environmental conditions, plus your health status overall. So all of those things add up, and what we're left with is your own personal potential for disease risk as a result of toxic load or toxic overload. Okay, so everything adds together. One of the big ways that we see this come together is in this thing called weight loss resistance, which we're starting to see more and more pretty much on an epidemic level. We're at a point now where nearly half or more than half of adults in the United States are at a point that we could call obese. And there's a direct link, just like we talked about last time with the hormone disruptors and the effects on the hormone receptor sites in our fat cells and our fat tissues. We start to accumulate these toxins and they get stored there, and the fat tissues themselves actually expand and grow and stretch, and they can hold more toxicity and more fat. And so this process does also disrupt the hormone balance in our bodies, and we have to clean it out. And the way that we clean it out primarily is through the liver. The amazing thing about the liver is it is the one organ of the body that can actually regenerate itself, kind of like a salamander can regenerate its tail or a leg or something like that. This is the one organ in the human body that has that ability. So I'm not going to get into the deep details here, just very quickly touching from left to right on this image. Our body has a kind of a 2.5 phases of clearance of the toxins that we accumulate, again, through water, air, food, poor digestion, stress, and everything else. So the ones that are fat soluble enter into this first phase. And the first phase is kind of the identification process, where the liver will tag these toxins. So you can see they're the results of metabolic process, microorganism, contaminants and pollutants we talked about, insecticides, pesticides, food additives, drugs, alcohol, and the list goes on. This is just a short list. But anything that is harmful to our bodies will first, if it's fat soluble, be tagged by the liver, and then it goes through sort of a middle process after this first phase where it's conjugated. And that means that different nutrients like vitamin B6 and magnesium and several other nutrients that we often talk about that are so important for detox, glutathione, these things are then bound and they're converted in this phase 2 into something that's water soluble. So the liver can then pass it out of the liver through the gallbladder, through the bile, through the stool, through the kidneys, and the waterways of our body out through urine. So to have a healthy body, to be able to clear the toxic load we accumulate, our liver has to be working. And that's a big focus of this cleanse process.
And also, maybe you can say that we need amino acids as well.
Yes, there are many nutrients that are needed, and we will be coming right back to this in a minute when we talk about the cleanse that we have chosen to use for this process, because it touches on all of the nutrient needs that are required in order for this liver phase 1 and phase 2 clearance to happen.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Hold on a second. Here it is. Yeah. So I just listed a few, actually. I mean, I know it's a big list and I'm not going to go through all of them, but maybe you can just pause and take a look at them and say, oh yeah, I have those conditions. Yeah, I am struggling with that. But these are the common signs of toxic buildups in our bodies. All of us have one or two, maybe some of us will have even more. It's just very common. I don't think you can live on this earth and say, I don't have any of these toxic buildup. I don't know where you live, but if you do live in a place that has no toxic buildup, do email me because I would like to go live there. But the fact that you emailed me also means that you do live in a toxic environment, because you will be sending me the email through some kind of a internet system. So that's toxic too. So anyway, we just can't get away from it. And what that means is that, yes, you can maybe live in a bubble. I don't know if you're of the age from Seinfeld's times. I was a Seinfeld fan. So I don't know, you remember George going to visit the bubble boy, but not all of us can go live in a bubble, right? So these are the signs that are just screaming at you saying, please do something. We are so full. We can't do anything anymore. The liver is congested. The bile's not flowing. The kidneys are not processing. The heart is struggling. So these are just some of them. But I am seeing more and more, I would say after the COVID, and COVID may not be, we're not in the midst of people getting sick from COVID per se, but I do work with a lot of long COVID symptoms. So it is in us. I think a lot of us didn't realize how much that impacted, and that includes us, because us doing the cleanse, we stretched it out to 30 days of this cleanse, and we realized how much of the virus impacted us and other viral expressions in our bodies as well. So I'm not going to go through them, but you can see some of those things that are going to be talking to you and say, yeah, you know what, I need to do something about this. For me, it's constipation is always something I deal with. Insomnia was becoming a little bit of a problem for me, but since I started the hormone supplements, I do not have any issues sleeping anymore. Weight is not my issue, but I think Chris can talk a little bit about the weight issue. Do you want to say what it was like before you started this cleanse?
Yeah, one thing that will happen is when your body is toxifying, which happens just as a result of living, like I mentioned at the beginning. And so what happens is you start to have inflammation in your body, and that starts to take the shape of water weight. So you actually will start to add a fluid kind of inflammatory weight or even girth. It could be something that your clothes don't fit as well. And so for me, actually going through this cleanse process, I found that at the end of it, I was able to actually pick out a pair of pants that I'd stopped wearing 3 or 4 years ago, just because they didn't feel comfortable when I put them on. They were a little snug. And after this,
Chris, you told me it was 2016. That pair of
that far
pants.
back? Okay, it's been more than 4 years. So that tells you how often I go clothing shopping. But I put them on just as an experiment, and sure enough, they not only fit, but they were loose, they were comfortable. They're actually the way that they're meant to be, and that told me that I had shed a lot of that fluid excess that builds up when you're in an inflammatory state. And if you're someone like me who's had a brain injury or a severe injury of some kind that is persistent in your body, this is even more important to do this cleanse process, because you keep having those effects accumulate over time. It just keeps on showing up again and again. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then I will talk a little bit about the seasonal change and how your doshas really express itself. But I'm starting to see more and more people who have allergies almost all year long. And especially if you have sinus congestions or drippy nose or some allergies are showing up, don't miss the spring cleanse, because that's when you get to get rid of these accumulated mucus. And if you don't release them, you're going to go straight into the kapha season, which is the wet and muddy. And, think of it like a wet, muddy cakes kind of thing. It's very mucus producing kind of a season. So this is why it's so important that you do the cleanse to release some of this accumulated mucus. Otherwise, you're going to take that mucus into the pitta season, more of the summer season. And what it does is this accumulated kapha, which is this fluid accumulations that Chris was talking about, it literally energetically fuels your fire. It makes you so much more agitated and angry and frustrated in the summer, because it literally becomes like a oil lamp for you, so that the liquid oil is feeding that flame. And that's what ends up happening if you don't clear this thing out during this time, particularly in the springtime. So whether you do the cleanse with us or not, I do recommend that you do some kind of a cleanse in between now till maybe end of May. That will be a great time to look at. So if you live in the US, is that the Memorial Weekend? Is that what it is for the May? Yeah. So that's a good time. But the sooner you can get going, the better you will enjoy the spring and then into the summer. And you will definitely notice that you don't react to things too much, or you don't get agitated by things in the summertime. And then, almost guaranteed that we're going to have another really, really hot summer. So before we go there, we really need to clean out our system as well. And I wanted to just mention briefly here about those signs that I showed are almost all physical. But if you're starting to say things like, I feel overwhelmed, even like you're sitting here and listening to us and you're just like, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed by what they're saying. Well, that's a sign that you need to be doing some kind of a cleanse to release some of that accumulated gunk inside your brain, but your body also. And if you're saying things like, I feel really stuck, or, financially stuck, physically stuck, I can't really create anything anymore these days, or I feel stagnant or energetically stagnant, or I feel heavy, I feel density of the energies, whether that's physically or energetically or psychically, if you're uttering these things, that's the body's way of communicating. That's the body's language saying, please clear some of these things out. Okay. So you feel overwhelmed easily, or you have become hypersensitive, meaning you can't walk through. When I know I need to be doing the cleanse, I can't even walk through the cleaning aisles. It's not my favorite aisle to be walking in anyway, and I don't really buy anything that sells in the cleaning aisles anyway. But if I walk by, it would really irritate me, or I get very sensitive if somebody is smoking a cigarette, like even 2 blocks away from my house. I will get so sensitive that I know somebody's smoking cigarette somewhere 2 blocks from here. So then I'll tell Chris, please, let's not walk that way, things like that. So I'm becoming too sensitive that I'm having a hard time even existing in my normal realm. That's no good, right? So that's when you do want to do some cleansing. I've mentioned about the, filled with gall, that's the irritation, that's the rudeness, that's anger, rage, aggression. Things are starting to come up. You're starting to get really judgmental. You're like making comments left and right, feel judged, and you just feel like, wow, somebody else is judging me constantly. Well, that is a very much you're putting your nervous system into a fight or flight constantly. Lack of joy in life, you just can't really smile anymore. Rigidity, feel stuck, lacking in trust, where you just feel like, I don't know, I can trust this contractor to fix my kitchen, or I'm not quite sure if I want anybody coming in and, fixing my plumbing. Like you're starting to feel like you can't trust. Maybe they're going to gouge the price, or, start thinking about all kinds of misinformation even, and then take yourself into that realm of somebody else is out to get you. That's when you really need to be doing some cleanse so that you can come back to this moment again. And resentment, definitely, and unprocessed betrayal. Those things like old memories from childhood, your kindergarten times, elementary school times, maybe a friend betrayed you. Those emotions will come up again, get stirred up, and you just feel weighted down. So we're not experiencing the flow, right? In all these things, we're not experiencing the flow, and we're struggling with stagnation. But one thing that I want to emphasize is that when you're doing the cleanse, you really do need to focus on how to move the bile. How do we move this golden liquid so that it can move through and collect and scrubby bubble and clean your colon? That's the main point. Metabolic cleanse is all about that. And I want to say this, I translated this from the Japanese language, but I'm going to read the translation. It's not on the screen, but to fully live in the cosmic flow requires bioflow. To clear karmic energy and to have a clean departure from this life requires bioflow. Okay. So to clear your karmic energy or karmic looping, and to have a clean departure from this life requires bioflow. So I think we owe it to all of us, to the people that's going to come after us, to our ancestors, that it's your responsibility to attend to the flow of your bile, that golden elixir, the old golden river that runs through your system. And I'm going to go to the next, and this you can go to our website under the 15-day metabolic cleanse. Chris can probably click it. Yeah.
I'm going to say just a word about this. Yeah, I wanted to just say a word here, because one, disclaimer time, we're not medical doctors. And so this was the screen that reminded me to say that. We're not medical doctors. Our background is in a variety of modalities, from psychology to functional nutritional therapy. But as always, we can't diagnose medical conditions or prescribe medications. And if you have any kind of condition that requires medical attention, please speak with your physician about that. So this questionnaire here, if you're wondering right now, is this cleanse right for me? Because we're trained in this country to ask that question, right? Is this right for me? Well, the answer that you can be sure of is this is right for you because you're a human being living at this time. But if you need more convincing, then being a human living at this time of very toxic environments and pollution everywhere, download this survey, print it out, take this little self-assessment for yourself. Okay, it's not us telling you. This is something that all of us can see for ourselves. So do take this little self-assessment, and it will let you know, if you're honest with your answers, just how much this kind of toxic accumulation is affecting you right now. So there's the link right there on the screen. We'll revisit this later when we show some other pages on the website.
Okay, thank you. And then, like I said, we're going to start on March 30th. That's going to land right around the first quarter moon, and we're going to be ending it on the new moon. So I'm going to chunk it out to like each phase, each week, and we are going to slowly taper off, like meaning we're going to increase the cleansing abilities, especially around the third week. So we're not going to jump into this and start with what they're recommending, the products that we're going to be using. We're not going to be using it exactly how they're telling us to do, because I find that to be a little too harsh, or not harsh isn't the word, but it's just, for me, it was too intense and I needed to take slower steps, taking time, making sure I was eating enough and calorically getting enough nutrients, because you need to build up your nutrients in order to detox. So just so you know, I am purposely doing it this way, using the moon cycle so she can help us with it, so that our body is in alignment with the phases of the moon. Okay. And then I think I actually froze again with this, Chris. So you will have to share. I don't understand why I freeze, but unfortunately. So
All right, give me just a second
because
to pull it
I
up.
wanted to show the next screen, but I will stop sharing. Okay, so maybe I'll look if any questions are coming in, but I will.
There was one question from Lisa about the kit.
You will receive it. We went to the post office yesterday with the dolly, and we spent almost an hour mailing everybody's boxes that you have ordered. So you should be getting them by this week. So according to the post office. So yes, you will be getting them. And if you're going to join our cleanse, I recommend that, because it's going to take time to ship it and all that, try to enroll by Friday. Okay. Friday will be better. Friday, probably 5 p.m. Eastern time will be better. But if you need to think it through the weekend, again, to join, our cutoff that we can order and can pretty much guarantee for you to get the box of the kit is Monday at, we're going to cut it off at 3 p.m. Eastern time, because these boxes are now from this point forward are going to be shipped from California, and you should be able to get them, but please try to do Friday by 5 p.m. If you need to think it, then in Monday by 3 p.m. Eastern time. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So,
yeah, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. So.
All right. Was there anything else?
No, let's go to the next screen, and then I will jump to the next one quickly. So I want to take some time for questions. So, okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be starting at the green star, and then that's the March 30th, and we're going to be doing this circle of this infinity. Yeah. And then we're going to be ending behind that full moon image. That's going to be basically the new moon, right? So that is what we're going to be doing. But the pre-cleanse time, it will be starting actually just about now, but I will be sending you out some pre-cleanse information or things that you can kind of get started on, okay, through the Facebook. And if you don't have a Facebook, we're going to do our very best to post things, but I think it'll be good if you can personally let us know that you can't join the Facebook group. We're going to be calling it the Covey Cleanse group. So I know it's kind of fun. It's Covey Cleanse. So we'll be sending you the information, but if you don't have the Facebook, I understand. I do not engage in Facebook that much. So let us know. Okay. So the next thing is that I really wanted to emphasize the difference between the juice cleanse and the metabolic cleanse. So what we're doing is the one is on the left side and not the right side. Okay. I have done way too many juice cleanses in my lifetime, and I will not do juice cleanse again in my lifetime. Okay. My friend Steve knows I've done a lot of juice cleanse. It just about killed me many times. And I think threw off my metabolic rates. It really threw me into adrenal fatigue. I rapidly declined by doing juice cleanse several times per year. I lost a lot of muscle mass from doing that, and it literally messed up my blood sugar. And what I realized was that I was really irritating my gut lining and my digestion by accumulating so much of the high oxalic acid or oxalic stones or crystal accumulations in my body. And for those of you that don't know oxalates, I will be talking about this, or we will be discussing this a little bit more on our Facebook, but it's worth noting that word and maybe getting to know. So things like turmeric, things like some of the fruits like kiwis, but also a handful of spinach that you are told that it's going to be great for your juicing, and you spend $500 buying the juice machines and doing these juice extractions. What it does is that it breaks free these oxalic acid or the crystals, and they will make their way into the bloodstream. And it really irritates because oxalic crystals are like fiberglass, and they're like a crystalline structures that really damage your system, and they bind with the calcium and creates calcifications in the body. So it's taken me years to recover, to be honest with you, from decades of abusing my body by doing juice cleanse. I no longer own the juicer, and I'm happy to say I never want to use it. And Chris and I don't blend a lot of vegetables and things like that anymore, because that also increases the oxalates. But I want to talk about the metabolic cleanse, which we will be doing for 21 days. It's very slow, gentle. That's the key. That is the only way that I can handle cleanse. I am not, even though, I find myself to be, I'm a strong person and I can do this and that, but there's this kind of a delicateness about me that I tip very easily if I overdo things. That's why we're going to do this together gently. It's a gradual toxic release through making sure that the bile is flowing, making sure that you're going to have your bowel movements. Those things have to be supported. Otherwise, you can be stirring up all these toxins and they just start recirculating through your lymphatic system. And that's the last thing we want to be doing. And I'm not going to read all of them, but can you go back for a moment? Sorry. It's going to help to preserve muscle mass. And also it's not a diet and it's not a fast, because you're going to be eating plenty of foods. There are certain foods that I will be recommending that you avoid during this cleanse, which will be very simple, but listed for you on the Facebook page. So you will know, okay, these are the ingredients that I need to avoid. Okay. Some of them are very obvious, right? I don't want you to be doing added sugar. I don't want you to be doing some nasty oils. I don't want you to be doing gluten. So those are simple things. You already know that. And we all probably should be living based on that. Last thing I wanted to quickly say here is the increased agni. We are all about increasing agni. For those of you that don't know the word AGNI, agni, it's an Ayurvedic word. And it's one of my favorite words because agni breaks the ama. AMA. AMA is the toxins in your body. That is what the mucus is. That is what the phlegm is. That is when you're having even a dry cough. That could be also AMA. When you're constipated, you're building up your AMA. When you got brain fog, you're building up AMA. So early on, I showed you the list of all the symptoms and things that, it means that you're accumulating toxins. You can bundle them all up and say, that's my AMA. Okay. What breaks the ama is the fire, the digestive fire. It's the fire that ignites who you are. The fire in you basically regenerates who you are. It awakens who you are. And that's what cleanse is supposed to be doing. But when you do the cold juicing of the fruits and vegetables and superfoods that are juiced through the juicers, you are cooling your system in the middle of the vata season that is slowly moving into kapha season. For those of you that you're like, oh my God, I don't know what the heck she's talking about. Don't worry about it so much. We've just been through the vata season where it's cold, sometimes windy, snowy, and it just makes you dried up from the inside out. We are going from that to a more of a wet spring, muddy time. But if we don't clean up our system, like I said, that muddiness, that ama can actually fuel your agitations, irritations, and anger, and really impact your liver in the summer. That's why we need to be reigniting your agni, get back in touch with your agni. Again, let's go to the next slide.
So I'll take this one. So the product that we're actually using is from this company, Biotics Research, which has been making the best of the best nutritional supplements and products that we have recommended for years and years. And we like them for a number of reasons. One, they're our trusted go-to company, have been for many years. We also use Zorex, as we talk about quite a bit, but Biotics is still one of our main companies. And one is they have persisted in getting better over time. Their lab is certified by the International Safety Organization, by the FDA. So they're at the top level of production of quality, purity, and potency for their ingredients, which means the better the ingredients are, the better they produce them, the more we can absorb and use them in our bodies. And the other thing that they do is they try to get organic ingredients as often as possible, and they certify their sourcing. That's what those little symbols are at the bottom, all the different things that they do well and that they don't participate in, like there's no gluten, GMO, or dairy in any of their products, and anything that involves fish oils or animal products at all, they're all certified at every step of the way. So we've been using this company for a long time, like I said, but the number one reason why we chose to use this company for this metabolic cleanse and to use their product to do this is because it's easy. We don't get to say this very often. I mean, those of you that have worked with us, we're usually saying the opposite most of the time. It's simple, but it's not easy. And most of the recommendations we make, they're simple, but they're not easy. This one is actually easy because all you have to do to get the effect of it, and it's very effective, is just follow along and do your little pouch of the protein detox mix and your supplements at whatever interval you're doing, once a day, twice a day, half once a day. That's going to be up to you, but it's an easy to follow process. You really don't have to change a lot of other factors about your times of eating. And we'll go into a little bit more of that as we go. And again, it's very gentle. And most importantly, it's not exposing your body to this high oxalate, high sugar jolt of toxic release that juice cleanses put you through. And just a couple other quick things that we're going to mention. This is a highly, highly regulated science-based program. Okay, so it's been very well vetted and tested. And the formulations here really take advantage of our body's natural ability to detox. That's what we're wanting to do, is turn it back on. Just like when we talked about the hormones, we're trying to support our body in a way that the natural function is able to do its job. And so we're aiming to support particularly liver and digestive functions. And again, very easy. The ease of using this, the efficacy, the convenience of it, that's why we chose it. And for those of you that haven't ordered, many of you have actually on this call, which is great. And we're so grateful that you have already signed up. But for those of you that haven't, you have two choices. There are two protein-based kits here. The blue one is pea protein. The pink one is collagen protein, which is the one we most often recommend. Pea protein can be a little bit hard for especially sensitive bodies. So collagen is the one that we typically go, the pink one. And you can see here the components of the kit. I'll probably hold this up later. I've got the little booklet here and I might flash a couple of pages open. But just so you know, this is what you're getting is 30, you're getting the little shaker cup, although we highly recommend using an immersion blender or something like that, a small mixer that you can just whip it up, especially in the collagen kit. Masami, did you want to say something?
Yeah, and we will go through, all this once we get started too, or before pre-starting. We'll start posting a little bit stuff in the Facebook, but don't use the plastic cup. Come on, right? Come on, Biotics. However, it's a shipping thing. It's too heavy to be shipping you glass jars. Yeah. So it's okay. I would use the handheld, like immersion, what is it called?
Yeah, an immersion mixer. Yep.
Yeah. We will be posting the ones that we buy. It's like $13. Yeah. It's really easy to blend it, mix it. If you do the collagen, that's the one that we would recommend instead of hand mixing. If you do the pea protein, they mix a little easily, but the collagen is going to have a little bit of a thickness to, not thickness, but it's a little harder to mix because it's collagen. Okay. Collagen is supposed to be a little bit like that so they can, it's just the components are very different than the pea protein. So we do recommend you use something like that to blend it so they thoroughly blend. And how much what's the next screen, Chris? Because I can't.
Yeah, this is just some of the highlights of what's in there. So I can go over that. It's in these little pouches.
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly in these little pouches that I'm holding up here. This is basically one of your meal replacements during your cleanse. But each one contains 17 grams of protein, regardless of which kit you use, 6 grams of fiber, and then all of these other ingredients. Nitro Greens is a natural plant-based phytonutrient mix that helps with the detox process. Medium chain triglycerides are the fatty acids that help with that detox. And then it's easy to mix. It's free of all the different kinds of sugars and artificial colors and flavors, gluten and dairy free. And again, you get this little guidebook that actually walks you through it, and it gives you recommendations for how to structure your day. And we'll go over that as a group too as we go. And then just a couple of other things. This is just a peek inside of that guidebook that's just helping to walk you through what is recommended for you to eat and not eat during the time that you're on the cleanse. So this is spelled out pretty directly. You can largely follow along. We'll have some other additional recommendations for the group in the Facebook page. And so the important thing here is you're not on calorie restrictions. And so if you need to eat more besides these little pouches of protein, that's okay. The key is that you're eating not processed, whole, clean food. Okay, so there's no limit on what you can do for that. And so,
you can exercise, because there was a question, can I exercise? Oh yeah, please move. And what we're trying to do is that we're not starting with the 2 pouches every day. I just found that to be too much in the beginning. But then what happened was towards the end, my detox system was working so well that I actually wanted to do 2 pouches per day. So we will play with that. So that's why the moon cycle becomes very important. We're starting slow. For some of you, it might be a half a packet. That's how I started the first 2 days. Then I went to 1 packet and 1 of the supplements packets that come with. And then the rest of the time I ate 2 meals. So I just kind of lived my normal life like that. I did that for a while. And then towards the end of my cleanse, I started to say, okay, I think I want to do 2 pouches today. Maybe I will do a little intermittent fasting with it. So I will be, suggesting some of these. This is just kind of a general idea of that's what's involved. You can change it by making it more or less. And that's something that I want you to really listen into your body, and I will let you know what I'm doing and what Chris is doing, because we ended up doing it slightly differently throughout that 30 days that we stretched out doing this. Okay. So I hope that's making sense. Yeah. And there's no xylitol. There's no xylitol.
Yeah. And one quick thing too, is that if your body is effectively, if you imagine your body is holding its breath with its toxic load, it's just kind of like, oh, and it's doing that, you may find that you're one of the more sensitive people and you need to do the more gradual release. Because what I found the most recent time that we did it is that my body had plenty that I wasn't expecting that it wanted to push out. And so I needed to slow it down more than I have in the past. So we just have a couple more slides to show you just some highlights again from this. And Masami already touched on this. So some of these bolded lines here is it's the importance of keeping the bile moving, producing bile, helping it to clear and take those toxins out of the liver, out of the intestines, and out through stool. And then also one of the things that this product does is it helps your gut microbiome to maintain and improve its biodiversity, which is where a lot of us are having health problems right now, either from antibiotics or poor food, poor nutrients. We're not feeding that system, which our health is really dependent on, and our cognitive health too, our brain function. And then we already mentioned this other one about releasing fluid retention, because that's a huge part, a big factor of what a lot of us deal with. So I will skip to the next one. You can come back and look at this on the replay if you'd like to read the other bullets, but let's take a look at the next slide. Masami, do you want to go over this one?
Sure. Okay. So this is where the physical meets the beyond, right? This is the body, mind, spirit, because when you cleanse, you want to take the next 21 days. Yes, you'll be living your life. Yes, you'll be working. Perhaps, you might be traveling. You will exercise as normal. But at the same time, I think you want to keep in mind that this is also a sacred act for your own body. So set aside some time, go through this little bit of the moon cycle with the sincerity, because things are going to change when you cleanse. What I noticed, and we're going to share what we've noticed in our journey, is that there was a definite increased energy that we experienced. And also the upgrades that I felt in my intuition has been amazing. I went through some major upgrades in my intuitions last year when I took a month and a half off from work. But this one was very different. It was gradual, steady increase in my abilities to connect. And when I took time off, which I wasn't doing cleanse whatsoever, everyone, I was loving my chocolates and I was definitely eating a lot of stuff that probably shouldn't have been in my diet. But this one was this like a opening, like slowly my dirty glasses were starting to get cleaned kind of thing. And I can see things better, feel things better. So there's that I love for all of you to experience, and clarity of inner knowing, which is all of us really could use a lot more of. And I think all of us are yearning for that these days. Deeper connections with who you are, stronger and clean boundaries, which has been really important for me to revisit my own inner boundaries and external boundaries and clean that out, because it was starting to get little muddy, maybe murky over the last several years, to be honest with you. So that's been very helpful, getting unstuck from old habits. This was old habits for me was a lot around maybe nighttime routine. Chris and I would just kind of get a little too lazy in the night. And, okay, full disclosures, everyone, we've been eating like a little too much chocolate, and chocolates have a lot of oxalates too, but we were doing a little too much chocolate, right, Chris? So those old habits really started to, like, I didn't have to change it. My body said, no, I don't want that. And one night I said to Chris, I don't want that. I don't want that chocolate. Why am I eating that? Why am I even looking at it? And it was so easy to release the cravings that it wasn't an effort for me at all. So I'm still there, feels really good, and recognize what is here and now. I think that's what cleanse does, is that it puts you in this moment, brings you back to this moment. Okay, so let's wrap up with a couple of slides and we're done.
We're almost there. So this one is just to point you to where to order this. So we've gone over what the big picture of the why to do the cleanse and what's in it. And so the one thing that we ask, this is in the red stamp on the picture here, is what's important is that you can order this cleanse however you want to. But if you want to join us in doing this 21-day group process together and benefit from interacting with others, sharing your experience, gaining from each other's little stories about what's happened to you, what you're noticing, what's coming up, sharing recipes, doing those kinds of things that will be prompting throughout the 21 days. If that's what you want to do, we need you to order it through our website. So what you do is go to masamicovey.com, click supplements. You're going to see the 15-day metabolic cleanse, which is the product. We're going through it in 21 days. And then scroll down and you can order it directly from us. Okay. And like Masami said, ideally, you want to be doing this no later than Friday, 3 o'clock our time Mountain, that's 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And for the simple reason that it takes time to ship these orders. Okay, we've already sent out a big wave of them, but for anybody else who's joining, please try to put that on your calendar and plan ahead. Go to our website, place your order, and we will get it ordered for you immediately as soon as we receive that order. Okay. So that's it for there. Last
And
slide.
last slide. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
For those of you that want to add the hormone components to it, get these two. Okay. Because I will be talking about these as we clear out the receptor sites. Then we're going to be specifically working on the clearing the receptor sites at the moon cycles. And then we are going to replenish the hormones. So there'll be different ways of using these products, the way I'm using it during the cleanse. So I want to introduce you to that. Okay. So I want to answer, so there's no xylitol. You shouldn't be consuming xylitol if you're a human being or a dog, everyone. So, it comes in a chewing gum, but that's about it. So do not consume xylitol ever. Okay. And then the question, I think we answered that. Okay. So the question about does it cause diarrhea? That depends. That depends on the person. Did not cause diarrhea for me, but Chris will probably tell you. Are you willing to tell people in this
I'll tell all my
format?
dirty secrets on this public forum. Why not? Yeah, no, one of the things that happens is that that's what so my body, I'm now revealing that I was the body whose toxins were holding their breath and just waiting to come out, given the opportunity. And so I guess the word of advice here is not to panic if suddenly things start moving in ways that you're not used to. It's ultimately,
Yeah, but Chris,
yeah.
can I, because I don't want to scare anybody.
No,
Ultimately, it's not the type of cleanse like a juice cleanse. You have to sit at the toilet all day long. No, you go and then you may have a loose, runny stools,
Exactly.
and then you feel amazing after.
That's an important difference. That's an important difference. When you are sick, when your body is actually struggling with illness or infection, that's where you'll have chronic persistent diarrhea symptoms. This is not like that. Whatever time frame your body is used to, however it's going to express itself will happen within that normal time frame in 99% of cases. So yeah, you're not going to be surprised or caught off guard in the car or something like that. Most likely it's going to happen according to your normal pattern. Okay, so that's really important. And it doesn't stay like that the whole time. You're going to find that there are little waves that will happen through this as your body is cleaning out and taking care of what needs to be taken care of.
And you can see from what Lynn said, she said, I did this cleanse in November and it was my first and only cleanse so far. It was super easy and simple, which I appreciated. I know, because I don't complicate my life anymore, right? I did the 2 pouches per day, 14 days. It was even a relief to not have to think about food so much. I was working almost every day, so I did use the plastic shaker. I used some coconut milk and mine, and it tasted great. Yeah, those are the things I want to share because some people might want to do it with the coconut milk. Some of you might want to do it with the oats milk. I'm going to be talking about oxalates. So, for those of you, please don't do almond milk, right? But you can do it this way, like Lynn did. Or you can do, Shelly says, I did this too in November. I felt great at the end, looking forward to doing it again. So because it's easy, it's doable, and you feel like, yeah, you know what? I want to do this again. That is the kind of feeling. It's not this dread. I'm like, you got to, pump yourself up to get on the rink or whatever to like fight this thing to try to cleanse. It's not like that. I was singing Rocky's theme song, like you don't have to do that to do this cleanse, okay? Because it's so gentle and easy. But we're starting on the Thursday just so that gives your body a couple of days to adjust to this. We're going to start with just 1 pouch, getting adjusted over the weekends, because I did notice kind of the mucus things coming out on the 3rd and 4th day. So that was it for me. And the rest of the time was no big deal. So that's why we're purposely starting on the Thursday. So you have a little bit of time on the weekends. All right. But it's not one of those things that you have to sit on the toilet to do. And in fact, most of you probably don't even experience what Chris and I experienced. So Okay. Other questions?
Well, and while other questions are coming in, I just want to say too that the difference of before and after. So this is something, again, we'll instruct people, also remind you of this. Take that questionnaire that we mentioned earlier. It's on that page that I had up just a minute ago on the website. You can download that questionnaire, the self-assessment. And what we're recommending that everyone does, and we'll have some prompts for the group inside of the Facebook page, and we'll do some fun stuff with that. But we want to have you do a before and after, because that's going to be one of the ways that you can see from your own physical experience, your own symptoms, that you'll be able to track what has changed over that period of time. And that's a really important thing for you to see, because as many of you may know, especially if you've worked with us before, that we're adapting in real time. Our bodies are constantly adapting, our brains are adapting. And so we often don't see those small, subtle changes that are happening from day to day. So to have that before and after checkpoint that you can go back and compare against is really, really a valuable tool. Because at some point, I can tell you this has been my experience, I forgot how much better I was feeling during the cleanse. And so I just went about my day and I was doing things with lots of energy and feeling really good and feeling how my hormones are all connecting in ways that have been asleep for all these years. And it's really, really important that you don't miss that wake up experience as well. So that's just a little pointer I would give.
Okay, I want to answer a couple of questions. I'm going to go from the bottom. So kind of, you can go to masamicovey.com, click on a 15-day cleanse kit, and then you will see it right at the top, the questionnaire.
I will put that link up on
masamicovey.com. Okay. And then you can take your normal supplements. It's just when you're doing the pouch, you don't need to take the supplements. Okay, so that's the time that you just don't take your normal supplements, because it comes with a little packet of supplements to help with the liver, right? And the Bioflow.
We do make some exceptions. For example, stomach acid would be one that for many people would still be valuable. Maybe not with the pouch of the cleanse kit, but with your regular meal that you're having. Outside of that.
Well, and in a regular meal, you might want to take a little extra B vitamins or whatever before you go to bed, you need your magnesium. That's fine. So we just kind of took the normal supplements, but I would say, I think we decreased some of them because I was feeling so much better that I didn't have the need to take so much. So that will, I think, come along. I don't want to just say, okay, don't take all of your supplements or take all of it all the time. It's like, because we want to wait and see how is this cycle is going to change you. I want you to stay with it. I don't like formula so much that says this is all you do and this is all you do forever, because maybe towards the end of the cleanse, you feel like, you know what, I think I will take a day off from my supplements, and maybe I would even not eat the dinner and then I'll do the intermittent fasting or something like that. You don't know, what is going to come from you. That is the whole point of cleanse, is that you begin to speak with your own self. Okay. And then the calorically, Chandra asked about, I work very long days and I'm concerned about having enough calories, energy to sustain me. Will the meal replacement packet provide enough calories? So this is something that you want to start and see, but you can always add the little coconut milk, or you can add certain things like, I'm actually a huge fan of adding one egg yolk to it and make it creamier and give yourself a little more calories. We in the beginning, we actually put 2 scoops of whey protein in addition, because I was concerned about it. And after 2 days, I realized that I did not need that, because my body was operating so well that I didn't need the extra scoop of whey protein. I thought I needed it because I thought calorically, I think I need more, but ended up not using that after the 2 days. So I think that, but you'll be eating normal 2 meals, right? And if you feel like you need to add a snack to it to match your output, then please do, because there's really no restrictions here with the calories. We're not trying to restrict calories whatsoever, because this is not a juice cleanse. So please eat, satiate yourself, never go starving yourself. but allow the body to start functioning, and then the messaging will start to change. But it's not immediate. We need to take about the first 10 days to really adjust and see how this is going to unfold for all of us. Okay, so I hope that answered. And we answered the supplements. On Facebook, we sign up under Covey Cleanse group. Yeah, so we are not quite. Chris, are you going to be working on the Facebook tomorrow?
We haven't opened it yet because there are people
Okay.
still signing up, but it's coming. So we'll notify everybody who has signed up so that you can join in and be on that before we start really getting going. Okay, so don't worry, that information will be coming in the next few days.
Yeah, and this is our first Facebook like private group. I know we're so behind in Facebook world. So stay tuned. We're going to learn as we go through this. And then we would love for all of you to like chime in your thoughts. You know, I added this to my shakes. I added like blueberries one day just because I just wanted to. But then it turned out not great for me. Some people love it. I just didn't like it. So I didn't do it. But then we might even introduce some like a little recipes. If you make some recipes, please post it. We want this to be a community that can support one another. We don't want to be like us teaching. Okay. So I hope you are okay with that. Okay. Because I want that kind of a community. Okay.
Yeah, and just one thing too that happens.
Oh, coffee.
Yeah. So before you jump there,
before you jump
there, what you may notice, this is something I personally noticed, I think Masami did too, is that you may find that when you first start doing this, your sensitivities are really dialed up. And so it could be how your body feels, how your taste sensations are being stirred up and awakened. And it can be a little strange, a little offsetting and off-putting when you first start, but it passes. And that's the most interesting thing, is that after usually for most people, it'd be 3 to 5 days. Any of those strange symptoms in your digestion or otherwise are going to start to mostly clear in those early days. But as you go on and you keep doing it, you'll find that you forget it. Like I was saying, you forget the little things that were bothering you before. And you're just starting to restore that capacity back into your body, which again, you just start living it. You just start using it and forget that it's happening. So, okay, the question is,
wasn't it crazy? The first couple of days, I was just like, I do not like this. I can't even do the whole pouch. I am not happy with this. And I was complaining all day. And Chris is just looking at me like, you know how sweet he is. He's just looking at me, just going, okay, when is she going to stop complaining about this? That's how much my liver was congested. And I didn't even like the taste. And I was not happy with it. Then by what is it?
Day 7.
Was it day 7?
Well,
I actually made it and I was like, ooh, this is kind of tasty.
Yeah. Like
I was actually enjoying the taste. And the next day I'm like, ooh, I think I want to do 2 of these. And Chris is like, seriously, like pull back a little, like slow down. Yeah. And then I ended up doing a pouch and a half, and that was enough for me, but I liked the taste. So I thought, wow, what was the yuckiness I was tasting? It might've been my own yuckiness that I was tasting and not the product. So who knows? Because I actually love the taste now. But when I started, I thought I was going to send that package back. Trust me. Yeah. So, we don't know where we're stuck, right? So let's just be gentle. That's why we decided that we didn't want to just sell the kit and send you in your own merry way. I mean, I know Lynn did it, and brave souls have been doing this on their own, like Shelly. But I thought, why don't we do this together? Then we can help one another. All right. Okay. And then coffee question.
Can I take
coffee?
That one?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm a coffee drinker. I have a ritual of drinking coffee every morning. I'm also somebody who likes to put full heavy cream in my coffee, not half and half, not the fake stuff, actual heavy cream. And so this is a personal matter for each person. If you feel like you want to go all in and not put the caffeine into your body and make your liver do that work, it will help. One thing that I did is switch to more decaf. So some days I'll do entirely decaf. Some days I'll mix together decaf and caffeinated, half and half, or even 3/4 decaf. And so these things, again, the goal here is not to be restrictive. So if this is something, if it's too much, in other words, if it's too much to change that element of your routine and do the cleanse, don't change that element of your routine. If it's not too much and you want to see what happens when you actually remove that, you might be surprised what actually happens. So that's my perspective on it. And then Masami, you may have something to say, and then there's one more question, then we should probably wrap up.
Okay. Well, I think one thing that this cleanse really surprised me, because I have a totally different thinking about cleanse, right? Because I've done way too many juice cleanse, is that this was kind of it was a natural unfolding, you know what I mean? Like, think of flowers unfolding itself to the fullest opening. That's how I felt. It wasn't forced. It wasn't like I went there and then trying to open the rose, and that's not what happened. And I enjoyed that process of me coming back in touch with my own Agni, the inner fire, and slowly releasing the stuck energy of Ama. So if you can do this with that kind of a gentle attitude, sweetness around it, hold yourself with it, be patient with it, and be curious how your body will unfold in this process, I think you'll gain a lot more than kind of a masculine approach of let's strip it, let's release it, let's remove it, juice the crap out of you. That's not going to work for someone like me. And if that works for you, great with this cleanse. Coffee does not go away. Okay. But we did notice that we were drinking maybe a little less amount by the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Either you do this for breakfast or lunch or dinner. It's kind of up to you, but we're going to guide you in what I have seen and what would help. So I'll give you a little hint, is that if your goal is to lose a little bit of weight, as you noticed, we didn't use the word, this is the weight loss program, because it's not, because it's to change your metabolic constitution of you so that your systems can move and flow. So consequences of that is you may lose weight. Okay. But the thing is, if you can do the pouch at dinner and basically do that as your dinner, you're giving yourself a nice long duration during your sleep to detox further. And that might be helpful if you're wanting to lose weight. So that's the little hint. Okay. But for someone like me that I don't need to lose weight, I had a nice lunch and I had a very good dinner. I had the largest lunch and then a, small but decent sized dinner. And I decided to do it for breakfast instead. Okay. So that's why I hope you can see that there's a lot of bio individuality to this. These are the things that will come up throughout the whole 21 days. That's expected. Okay. Some of us will feel great and some of us will be like, yeah, I have that golden liquid, liquid come out of my butt too, like Masami. That's okay. We'll talk about it. All right. And we'll see where this goes, but please stay curious and open and know that we're using the products that are really high quality and thought through, and it's been in the market for a long time. It has worked for many, many thousands of people. We just decided to finally put this out there as a group cleanse. Okay. So that's, I think, all I have to say. But Chris, are there any other questions we need to answer?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. And just the final thing to say is just to remember that, like we've been emphasizing, the bio individuality, it's totally fine for you to fine tune and tweak the pattern. It doesn't need to be the same every single day. And that's something that I found is some days morning was great. And it was so much that I got used to that feeling of the gentle cleanse that by the time I'd eaten lunch, I really didn't want anything after that for like a second round of it. Most days it was just too much. I just didn't need it. So slow and steady is good. If you want to try it a little bit faster, you can also change that and see, because from day to day, it might be different. So, okay.
I think one thing though, Chris, didn't you notice that I actually really slimmed down in my lower extremities? Because women,
right.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah,
that you really pointed out. And I had the same thing around my midsection, where I tend to hold the fluid accumulation from the inflammation. So for me,
So
for me, it was more
one thing. Okay, so one thing we want to know, everyone, men tend to hold the toxicity around like their waist and belt area. Okay. It's like, you could call it muffin top kind of thing, right? But women tend to hold from the waist area down to the glutes into the upper thighs. And that's a sign that you're accumulating toxins in your body. And I was like, wow, my muscles are toning, and I was losing some of these like fluids in my legs, upper thighs. And I thought, wow, this is great. And it's not like I lost muscles, like when I was losing muscles in the juice cleanse. I was actually releasing the toxins, and my lymphatic system started to flow. I could really feel the difference in my fingers and toes and ankles from the lymphatic system moving. It's not that I was doing anything that different, except to add 1 pouch of this in that supplement packet throughout the week. So, and I just want to say, Shelly, you look awesome. Yeah, you look fantastic. So anyway, I'm glad you're going to be joining us again. And it's that easy. That's why you want to kind of like want to join in, do it again, because it's really, I think you'll find it that it's supported, because we will support each other, and it's not a starvation. It's not a fast. If we choose to do intermittent fasting towards the end, maybe some of us will do it together. Okay. But let's unfold this together, because we're all individually these beautiful flowers, right? We're here to express ourselves, but sometimes we just need the gentle support, maybe just enough nutrients so that we can fully blossom. So allow the petals to open up, okay? That's what you're here to do. That's why the cleanse isn't just a physical act. This is truly a body, mind, spirit. This is what you can give to yourself. And it's going to go through the Easter. So if you do celebrate Easter, you can have your Easter Sunday meals and you don't have to worry about it. I mean, seriously, live your life, please. Okay. So I think that's it. Do we have any other questions? If not, then we will be done.
Just a reminder, if you missed it, if you came on late, or if you want to watch this again, we will be posting this up on our YouTube channel. So you know where to find us. You can go to the website, masamicovey.com, and link to anything that you don't know how to get to from there. So, but we'll have this will come up probably tomorrow, midday is when I would anticipate seeing that go up. Okay. So
okay.
I think that's it.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing this. Colleen and Sue and Rita and Lynn and Kathleen. Are you doing that too? Oh, yeah, you are. I think you are, right? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And Sharon, of course, Mary. So this is really exciting. Shelly, you're going to do it again. Marianne. Yes, you're doing it too, Marianne, I think. Yeah. Okay. So we would recommend you choose the collagen, just because we could all use the collagen support. But if you have to do pea protein, no big deal. Okay. All right. So I think that's all we got. I know we have to let you guys go, even though we would love to sit here and talk to you. Please feel into the new moon energy. This past almost a month was a pretty tough cycle. Okay. So allow the cycle to end. It has ended. Okay. Decompress, take some time to decompress tomorrow and the next couple of days. Emphasize your exhales. How can you exhale into life more than how do I inhale and take on? Okay. What is exhale to you? It could mean that you go to bed a little earlier. Okay. It could mean that you go for a walk without something plugged into your ears. Okay. That you just go and listen to birds. Those can be the exhales. So come up with your own exhales. And during this 21 days, we're excited to have a little questions like that. that will prompt you and then share your thoughts throughout, so you get in touch with your own intuition deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay. So, all right. I'm so excited. We can't wait to do this with you. And please order by Friday or Monday by 3 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. We'll see you soon, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.